listening to the Ecosystem Approach show. I'm Jason.
And I'm Patricia. Tune in every Monday at 1 p.m. Pacific Time and 4 p.m. Eastern Time on Transformation Talk Radio.
We discovered that human potential is severely limited when you program humans like a machine, which is standard practice today for self-improvement.
The Ecosystem Approach teaches you how to uncover your infinite potential by using natural methods that are truly revolutionary. Join us now for the Ecosystem Approach show. Today, we're going to channel Saturn, which rules Capricorn and is one of the most misunderstood planets. Saturn energy is useful even if it's not part of your astrology chart. Also, we're going to talk about how to use astrology information in practical ways and what to do with the information that talks about events that include warnings and cautions. Very useful information. Stay tuned. We are married intuitives with over 20 years experience who created the Ecosystem Approach for you. This is much different because we see human beings as ecosystems that need to be restored instead of programmed. We show you how to take an energy approach for internal discovery that is rational, practical, and useful for everyday life. Jason, I know we both have been looking at Saturn all week. What has Saturn been telling you?
You know, Saturn has a reputation for forcing people to follow the rules and being the dad that says, you got to do this, you got to do this, you know,
Okay.
Is very parental and even a little obnoxious. But when I was talking to Saturn, it said no.
Okay.
You know, it was
I like that.
It wanted to correct its reputation.
Oh,
you
I
know,
see. Okay.
And I kind of get it.
Sure.
You know, most rules are man-made.
Oh,
Saturn
yeah.
is not about following any sort of man-made rules.
Okay.
It's really about true growth, where the ego, the negative ego, is overcome by your essence, or what a lot of people call soul.
Okay.
So that your soul comes forward, not your ego.
Okay. Well, can I jump in
Yeah.
and say, it's kind of just, we're going to back it up just a little bit. Man-made rules do have benefits. Do not misunderstand that at all. In other words, in every town and city that I've ever been in, they at least have a stop sign or a stoplight, that sort of
There's
thing.
traffic control.
Well, there is traffic
Yeah.
control, and, you know, not to mention population, you know, is out of control, but that's a whole nother issue. The point that I'm getting at is that we need those man-made rules for things like traffic control and for everybody's safety is really
A structure that's
a
agreed
structure.
upon that works.
Exactly
And
right.
Saturn,
But that's not what you're talking about.
no, it's not. I mean, Saturn understands structure.
Yes.
And there's boundaries on a structure.
Okay.
That if you agree to a structure, that everybody should follow that structure. But it's not an absolute. It's not saying everybody should follow some sort of rules that may not be good for everyone.
Correct.
You know, a famous Capricorn is Martin Luther King Jr.
Wow.
And as you know, he was famous for saying, hey, the rules about the black man being oppressed and not being equal in our culture and our society is not right.
Yeah.
You know, that was very Capricorn-ish, because he wasn't saying we should just keep it the way it's always been. He's saying no,
because
it wasn't right.
He knew from the essence of who he was,
yes,
that those rules were not correct.
Yes.
Those, man-made rules were not correct.
Yes.
Yes.
You know, another a good example is Elvis Presley. Was a Capricorn. He did great things in the music arena, but then you know, he had these addictions because there was a part of him that couldn't follow the rules the way he wanted to, and
Yes.
what he perceived as what the shoulds of the world. And as a result, he
Well, he died.
yes, from those addictions. So,
Right.
to understand this, we need to understand ego.
Okay.
And ego, what ego is designed to do, we see this as intuitives. And frankly, it's not that we have this great insight, but when we look at the way humans are designed, it's not a secret. It's how we're supposed to work is
Right.
not a secret. It's
Right.
it's written all over the place. Written, that's not the right way to say it. You can perceive it.
Yes, you can.
But if we all had the same level or a more heightened level of intuition, people would say, "Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right."
True.
That's what we do all the time. We hear stuff and we say, "Oh, that's right," or we
Right.
hear stuff and say,
Oh,
"Really?
I don't know about
That
that.
doesn't
Yeah,
sound right at all."
exactly. Yeah.
So, but ego. We did this a while back when we talked about health.
Yes.
We did the triangles where you had the essence on top and below it were ego and physical body.
Correct.
That's how we're designed, so that the essence, when it's healthy, will feed information to the ego and the physical body and say, "This is what I need you to do to support my purpose. This is my life."
You're in meaning someone's life and purpose, meaning their own. And the problem is that when we look at people, we see that triangle upside down.
Exactly.
And that is not where ego and physical well-being is.
Yes.
That yes, they are overriding all kinds of things that don't make sense.
When it's flipped upside down,
Yes.
so that the ego and the physical body's on top, then the essence isn't talking to those two things.
Well, and those two things can't hear what the ego has to say at all.
Right.
They override.
So what do they listen to? Well, the ego listens to experts, parents,
Yes.
people in the world.
And by the way, we're not condoning run amok on anything. Meaning, our parents do have things to say.
Yeah.
But we have the right and the ability to weigh what's right for us in that.
If mom and dad always wanted you to become a doctor, well, okay, is that what's best for you?
Yeah.
Now, if your essence is operating, then you would know.
Yes.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And yeah, I'll do that. And yes, makes perfect sense.
Right.
If it's not, then it doesn't make perfect sense.
Right.
So also Saturn has been associated with ambition. And it's a half-truth. Ambition is a form of power.
Yeah.
I want this to happen.
And get up and go get it.
Right.
Yes.
When it serves your true purpose, when it serves who you are authentically, then it can be very, very powerful.
Yes.
But when it's serving the ego that's not connected to your essence,
right,
it can be really dysfunctional.
Yeah.
Some examples: Richard Nixon.
Yeah. Oh.
He was actually, in terms of politics, and I'm kind of a political geek, so
forgive him.
He did a lot of really good things in terms of the United States relationship with China at the time. He was a good. He understood how things could work and how to make things happen. But and the Watergate, he got the problem with Watergate was that after it happened, he sought to cover it up because of his ambition, wanting to remain powerful and to have power.
Ego,
yes,
got stuck in that.
Well, the ambition was coming from his ego, not coming from his true purpose.
Correct.
So Hitler was a good example. He didn't have he wasn't a Capricorn, but he had a Capricorn moon. And for those of you who don't know, that's his emotions. What he wanted. Yes. And that ambition had gone awry.
It really had,
in terms of what he wanted and how he was going to get it.
Correct.
So should we do a quick tip?
Sure, Jason.
So here's a quick tip. Saturn is powerful and elegant and has many hidden features that can be very valuable. It holds you to account for your essence, which is healthy and vital. It takes issue with you when your ego and ambition overcome the true purpose from essence. It's not about following man-made rules and structures or being parental about telling you when you're wrong or bad. It's a true advocate for your essence and its health.
Love
And it helps you have free will to choose what's
Right.
authentic for you.
Right. I love that. So, well, and I want to back up to that. It helps you have free will to choose what's right for the authentic you. Most people, because there's so much negative energy slash programming on top of them and their essence, they don't, many people don't believe they have a choice at all. Or if they, and if they don't believe they have a choice at all, that makes them angry and bitter and resentful and I would say even hard to be around. It really creates a self-hate
Yes.
that doesn't serve a thing for anyone.
Yes.
And so, and by the way, the ecosystem approach really helps remove that negative energy for you so you can have some clarity about yourself. In the next segment, we're going to talk some more about Saturn, especially about how to use its energy to help you in your life. We'll also talk about using astrology in general in practical ways so you can have a better life. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show, unscripted, with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk some more about Saturn, especially about how to use its energy to help you in your life. We'll also talk about using astrology in general in practical ways so you can have a better life. Jason, what is a practical use of Saturn energy, I don't know, in everyday life?
Well, one is to fulfill goals and purpose that you know are authentic to you.
Okay.
And even if you don't know 100%, most people say, well, I don't know if I'm 100% sure.
Okay.
If you, if you're trying to get someplace, try and take a goal, I would assume that it's right. And if you continue to use the ecosystem approach and keep clearing the stuff in your way,
Right.
If there's something wrong, or there's a nuance that isn't quite right
and doesn't feel quite right, yes,
you'll figure it out.
Yes, you will. I can attest to say that I know for sure.
So start where you are.
Yeah.
And Saturn energy is powerful. It's not namby-pamby or
No, not
it's
at
not a
all.
wallflower. It's powerful. It's the second biggest planet. It's beautiful. You know, those rings. One of the things I was reading about it is that it's that those rings are frozen. They're very very it's very cold in those rings, and they would never send a satellite through or
A spaceship.
It's not really a spaceship. It's
Yeah.
When they come from Earth, they're like a telescope or whatever.
Right.
But because it would be like a razor, it would cut through that stuff because it's so hard and sharp and it's very very thin.
Oh, okay.
But it's Saturn has this beautiful aura that looks really nice and powerful and very attractive. Use that power. And you're saying, okay, I want to do this. Doesn't matter whether you have Saturn in your chart or Capricorn in your chart. Use that, saying this is where I'm trying to go, and I need that, and know that I need to do it in a structured way, because most goals and objectives have to have some sort of structure around it.
Exactly.
And that's one of the best uses of Saturn. Use it for purpose. Use it for, or even trying to figure out what that purpose is. It's a very helpful. You can use it to, I guess this is a form of ambition.
Okay.
One of the things that, and she sees this all the time when we hear this on TV or something, I need to motivate myself. And I always bristle at that, because if you're doing your purpose, you don't need to motivate yourself. That's I'm going to digress just for a minute, but that's why we call it the ecosystem approach.
Okay.
When we've spent a lot of time, Patricia's garden in this neighborhood is famous because it's just growing,
it's flourishing. Yes,
flourishing, really.
Yeah.
And those plants don't need to be motivated ever.
No,
As long as you give them the water and they have the nutrients in the soil,
that they need. That's
they
right.
just go to
Well,
town.
wait a minute. Let's make one nuance. And you keep the deer and the bunnies out of it.
Well,
We'll say it
that's
that
a
way.
representative for the toxins and things
Yeah.
like that, which we do. Okay,
Yes, yes.
so and it's but the point is that they don't need to be motivated.
To grow,
Yes. So
to do their purpose.
when you do mental gymnastics to motivate yourself,
Yeah.
it's because you don't really know who you are,
Yes.
what your purpose is, because once you do, then all those things start to make sense.
Yes.
So
Yes, yes.
So the ecosystem approach is based on removing negative energy so you can be in charge of you.
Yes.
And you can see your purpose and pursue it with courage.
With courage and clear your way to get not only the courage, but the clarity that you need to see what that purpose is really all about and what you have to offer others with your purpose.
I also think that if you use Saturn energy to help you with your goals right now, and it could backfire if it's based on ego. If you keep clearing, removing negative energy, using the ecosystem approach, and you're pursuing a goal, and you're using Saturn energy to support you with that, if it's based too much on ego, it'll show.
Yes, definitely. But the other thing is when you use the ecosystem approach, you can start removing negative energy so you can see ego.
Yes.
And purpose.
Yes, exactly.
It's very interesting. Here's something else. I want to jump in and say this. This is one of the things that I saw about Saturn this week. And it's that we are taught, all of us have been taught that we have to look outside of ourselves regarding our purpose. Is my purpose right for me? Is my purpose or what is my purpose? Or am I doing the right thing? And the problem is that we have so much negative energy because of programming. Our connection to our essence gets blocked, and we could go all the way through our life and never know.
Yeah.
And that, I think, is very sad because I see some people out there, some essences out there that really have great benefits for all of us.
Yes.
So I just want to put that in there.
So let's talk about astrology. So that's Saturn energy.
Yes.
How can we use astrology in a practical way?
Okay.
And here's what I see. And I copied this because I got it off the internet. It was about this month, August of 2023, in case you're listening to this later. But it was typical astrology speak.
Okay.
And so I'm just going to read it, and then I want to give you my comments. But it says August is a month that requests a deep revival of the soul. As we enter the month, Venus, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto, and Chiron are retrograde. And by the time we wrap up the month, Mercury and Uranus will also be moving backward in the sky. Things will be moving slowly due to the need to go back to the past for stories that need to be rewritten or reapproached. If you find a glitch in your strategy, use the August 1st full moon in Aquarius to course correct and set your mind toward a different future. That's very poetic. That's even very interesting.
Right. What does it mean?
What does it mean? How do you use it?
Yeah.
It's not very clear. And most people, if they try and use it, they'll use some form of programming method to do that.
That's true.
The best way that I see to use astrology.
Okay.
And I was reading up about the, August 1st in terms of astrology is pretty complicated because we have 2 full moons.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
We have a lot of retrograde planets.
A lot going on in the skies.
Oh my gosh, and it's going to affect us. Yes. But how do I know versus how do you know what that's going to happen? Well, the best way to deal with that is to let it happen and then see, okay, well, if you're connected to who you are, your authentic self, your purpose,
correct,
and you're kind of moving in that direction and you get blocks,
yes,
you clear them away, you remove them.
Yes.
That's the best way. It's actually not using astrology, it's using the ecosystem approach, but when they come up, use them. Now, we talk about planetary energies and using those, and I think that's a whole possibility of power by using individual planetary energies, whether they're in your chart or not,
Okay.
to help you move forward. I think it's one of the most, to me, it's an almost like an atomic tool
Okay.
to help your life move forward. And sometimes you can use those aspects as you know them.
Yes.
Yeah, I know that this full moon is affecting me because it's in Aquarius, and I feel feeling blocked. So I can use Uranus energy to help me overcome that block, or Saturn energy to help me overcome that block,
Okay.
depending on who I am, what I'm doing in the moment, what
Correct.
the context is.
Yes.
That's really, really powerful. That's
Yes.
the best way to use astrology,
Yes.
and that's never been used before. No, people don't think of it that way.
Right.
So,
So, Jason, do you have a quick tip
yeah,
for us?
yeah, let's do that. The best way to use astrology is to wait and see how the aspects affect you, and then remove whatever blocks you, and then activate the appropriate planetary energies so you can overcome those blocks.
Okay.
And I know we haven't told you what those are and how that works in this show. Keep listening. Trying to interpret what your favorite astrologer says can be crazy making and really doesn't make sense.
Right.
You can't really prepare yourself, and I've heard and seen examples of people misunderstanding them and making them something into what they're not. So in
Correct.
other words, someone says your primary relationship is going to be revealed, and then you have a fight. Does that mean you should break up?
Or does break up, or do you stop and say, well, I have to break up because that means that so and so is crazy and I'm not,
Or because they
or
said
yes,
they said, so it must mean,
and I have to.
I've
That isn't what Jason is saying at all.
well, and that's not what astrology should be used for either.
Exactly.
If you have a fight, clear the negative energy from the fight,
Well,
and then
in
see
other
what's
words,
there.
astrology doesn't get to decide for you
Exactly.
what and how you should think.
And it's so complex. There's no way
Very.
to parse that in a way that
Right.
that judgment,
That's exactly
except
right.
when you do it for yourself.
That's exactly
And then
right.
keep going.
Yes.
So,
yes.
using astrology interpretations to protect yourself rarely helps, but
Mhm.
seeing what blocks you and removing those blocks is always the best way to use the ecosystem
Correct.
approach.
Correct.
When there's people who don't sign contracts because Mercury's in retrograde, that's silly. Just be really careful about communication and the details,
In other words,
which you should
inform
do,
yourself.
which you should do
Exactly.
always, all
That's
the time.
exactly
Yeah.
right. Yes.
So
Yes. I really, really, really like that part, because all of the planets do retrograde to a certain degree. And so does that mean you should run around and be that's all you should be doing, looking at that?
And
no, you have to live life.
the definition of how retrograde affects you personally is really mushy.
I was going to say, and can be individual
Yes.
for each and every soul.
Yes.
So with that said, in the next segment, we're going to talk some more about working with astrology and what we think is the most valuable way to use astrology. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show, unscripted, with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about working with astrology and what we think is the most valuable way to use astrology. Okay, Jason, if the warning and predictions aren't really helpful, what is helpful, and how can we use astrology in the best way?
I think that's a really important question. And I think this will, I know for me, I studied astrology a long time ago.
Okay.
And it got to be so complex in the different relationships and aspects. And it just said, oh my gosh, how do I use this? I can't make use of this. And I think sometimes it's way too complicated. Right. But what I read online from astrologers is way too simplistic. So how can you use it? So the best way is to know that there's a way of using all the energies that are already affecting you daily in an intentional way. Mm-hmm. um, so that you're in the driver's seat.
Mhm.
That's what I see, is that for the most part, they're going to say, oh, this might happen or this might happen. And you're thinking most of that needing to know, well, is this the month that my fiance is going to propose, or is this the month that I'm going to get that promotion, blah, blah, blah.
Okay.
Um, most of that's predictions don't work.
Well, and what most people don't realize is that we have, first off, the right to change any prediction, excuse me, that is out there by using energy, by changing the energy.
That's right. And there's a misunderstanding about the
Correct.
energy, because we have all these energies that are coming at us
Yes.
from all the planets.
That's right.
All those planetary energies affect us.
Mhm.
And I see that astrology, it's been discredited. Scientists don't like to talk about it, but the truth is, um, scientists want something that is absolute black and white,
Well, and that they can put a formula to.
formula too.
Yes.
But astrology is never that way. It's kind of
Right.
airy-fairy. It might happen one way one time, and another way another way, and it might
Correct.
happen a certain way with you, but a different way with me.
Of course.
But if you understand that all those energies are affecting you, you become a victim to them unless
Right.
you can
Right.
take
Good
charge
point.
of
That's a
them in a
really good
way.
point. Yes, yes, yes,
And
yes, yes.
the way you do that
Yeah.
is to start using the planetary energies with intention.
Mhm.
We just started to talk about that. That is that the power and the tools that you can use, that you can develop as a result of using planetary energies, are amazing.
Well, and I'm going to
And we're just scratching the surface right now.
exactly, and I'm going to jump in. When we discovered this a little while back, one of the things that I started doing was I started calling in Venus energy, which is, by the way,
Which rules Libra, which is
my sun sign.
yes.
And the irony for me, and I've never really been into astrology, like I'm starting to really learn and understand right now. But when I started doing that, it felt like I had found my home. I had found a basis for who I am that I'd never known before.
Well, a little backstory was helpful for that.
Okay.
Your Enneagram type,
yes,
is completely contrary to your astrology. Now,
is.
now we've talked about that. The
Yes.
Enneagram type is not who you are authentically. There's a lot of astrology books or Enneagram books that say this helps you understand who you are at your soul level. No, it doesn't. It's really clear to us that the Enneagram type helps you see your emotional compulsions that come from negative energy. And a lot of people turn those compulsions into assets in our world today.
Yes, they do.
But they're always off. They always will hurt you in some way or
They'll
another.
bite you, is what you're saying.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
But
yes.
your astrology, your natal chart, is who you are authentically, and
Right.
that talks about and that tells you, kind of gives you a path
Yeah.
to see, okay, this is who I am.
Yes.
It's not this over here. So for Patricia, her Enneagram type is emotional and artistic, and
True.
which is the way she's been all her life. But now her astrology is saying, well, you may be artistic, but you also have a lot of objectivity, and you like to live in balance as opposed to
And when I'm not in balance,
drama.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You
There
know,
you go.
and that your emotions, with his Gemini moon,
Yeah.
has an intellectual bent to it, which has never been the case. Those energies of Venus, and
Yes.
then the Gemini moon, which is Mercury,
Yes.
can feel very satisfying. It's like, oh yes, oh, that feels good. Oh,
Exactly. And it also, one of the things that it does,
because it supports who you are authentically.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say. And in that support is something that I have looked for all of my life, because I never had it. Well, I didn't have it in here because I didn't understand it, but I certainly didn't have it out there.
Yeah.
And but I was programmed to believe I had to look outside of myself for anything of value. And I'm not talking money and that sort of thing. I'm talking value for myself. And when I started using Venus and Mercury, there was such a, I'm going to use the word satisfaction in it. It's been awesome in my opinion.
We've been using life force on this show for a long time, and there's nothing wrong with that,
No.
but it's really generic. It's like a combination of everything.
Well, and calling in life force is absolutely fantastic. But one of the things I've been looking at regarding that is that most people are so most souls are so angry at life force because they didn't get what life force or God um, uh, that they've been asking those energies for themselves. Did that make sense?
No, but what are you trying to say is that we've experienced this. So many people come to us and they're fed up with religion, or I don't believe in God, or any of
Yes.
that. Usually that's because they've been abused around the rules, the misapplication of the rules.
Go
This
back
is
to the
Saturn.
first segment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Of
Exactly.
of that doctrine or dogma or whatever.
Exactly.
And then they have a response, an emotional response to which says, I don't want any of that anymore.
Yes, and thank you for that. That's
Yeah.
really good clarity. I appreciate that.
So I think that it just if we our spiritual nature, which this is kind of, we're talking about this when we talk about purpose, when we're talking about our soul.
Yes.
It's not something that's tangible, and
Mm,
it's not something that you can write a formula for, or a mathematical equation. And it moves.
yes.
And why does it move? Because the planetary energies are moving, and are affecting us in different ways.
Exactly. And the last thing that anyone should want is to be sedentary in who they are.
Yes.
Because when you're sedentary, you're not learning. When you're sedentary, it basically says, well, it's time to be out of here.
One of the purposes of all of for everybody is, as we come into this world, to know who we are authentically.
Yes.
At the level, not at our physical level,
right?
Our height and weight and that sort of
That's
thing.
programming.
That's programming. It's at a spiritual level.
Yes.
Because being in a physical body, having a root that's energetic, the way you can really experience that energetic root
yes.
is through physicality.
Yeah.
And you'll never know unless you have a connection between that physical part of you and that
yes.
energy part of you, which is, of course, what the whole reason we started the ecosystem approach. It's the whole reason why we made it help you understand who you are authentically.
Well, and then and that brings up the best way to understand different perspectives and approaches of life, of your life, is when you start to understand all the differences of you. And is it good for me? Is it not good for me? In other words, then you can really start asking those questions. And if it is good for me, how do I know how to use this? And I have the answer to that. It's called the ecosystem approach.
Yes.
It is just amazing. Jason, just take a minute and talk about the elements and that sort of thing. Just take a second and do that.
The other benefit of astrology is it gives a language about energy that we wouldn't have otherwise.
Yes.
The elements, I use that all the time.
Yeah.
Earth, water, fire, air. I realize that there are other astrology doctrine that uses metal, that sort of thing. But this is
this is the basis.
This is the basics, and this is what I use. It doesn't matter what you use, but it's a structure that helps you understand how these energies work together.
Yes, I love that.
I've always had Sagittarius, which is fire, and Scorpio, which is my moon sign, is water. And they don't play well together. Fire can burn up water, and water can put out fire.
That's correct.
So I've had this vision in my mind of saying there's a bonfire next to a babbling brook.
Yes.
And that's my way of understanding how that relationship of those two very powerful energies can work together. It's very, very helpful. The houses, the context of your life, the qualities, the modes, cardinal, fixed, and mutable. It's ways of talking about energy that we don't have in our English language today.
Exactly. Jason, how about a quick tip for us?
The ecosystem approach shows you how to use the energies in your life and not to be a victim to those energies, By using planetary energies, you expand your energy toolbox and your ability to work with energies in your life in a positive way. Also, using astrology for self-understanding, it creates a path to who you are authentically, which can be a reference that you use for the rest of your life. Use it to activate planetary energies that will help you in your day-to-day life, and removing compulsive behaviors that are expressed without choice blocks and interferes with your free will.
Correct. So we're sort of running out of time. Should we
Yeah.
let's tell everybody how to do the clearing right now and removing negative energy.
Okay.
And then we'll get to the next segment.
All you have to do is use your mind's eye when we say "and" to eliminate. Gather up those feelings or veils and illusions or barriers, blow them into the processor. Sarah's putting the picture of the processor up now. It goes in the top, processes it, and comes out neutral. It's that simple.
And it's not only good for you, but it's good for everything around you.
Yes.
So with that said, stay tuned. When we come back, we're going to talk about using Saturn energy and then using planetary energies to help you have a life that is natural and authentic to who you are at the level of your essence or soul. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia, and you're listening to Transformation Talk Radio. This is the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason, and I'm Patricia. And in this segment, we're going to talk about using Saturn energy and then using planetary energies to help you have the life that is natural and authentic to who you are at the level of your essence or soul. So, Jason, let's get started. Let's start removing some negative energy.
So, here we go. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to eliminate the veils and illusions, so I can see that Saturn can help me overcome false ego and to be who I am authentically. So gather those veils and illusions, take a gentle breath, blow it into the processor.
And by the way, I see negative energy goes easier to the left than it does to the right. I don't know why, but that's how I see it. You can put it in the processor anywhere you want, but use that processor, everyone, because it keeps all of us from walking back into that negative energy that we've attempted and we've taken off of ourselves.
If you don't put it in the processor, you're just moving it around from like one room to the other. Like when I was in college and wanted to clean the house, I would just move the crap from one room to another.
Exactly.
That doesn't work.
Exactly. All right. So, and to eliminate the barriers so I can see how I can use Saturn power in a way that helps me in my life starting right now. Nice and easy. Take a breath and throw any negative energies, those barriers, into that processor.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that all planetary energies can help me, whether they're in my natal chart or not. That's a biggie.
And to eliminate the intense feelings of worry, anxiety, and stress that I have, that I can overcome with Saturn energy and being authentic to my true nature without the demands of negative ego. Nice and easy. From the tips of your toes on this one, get rid of that. You don't need negative ego at all. It doesn't serve you. Throw it away.
And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that the best way to use astrology is to remove blocks as they come up.
Absolutely. Take a breath and blow it out. And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that trying to predict difficulties doesn't work well. Clear or remove negative energies for a better life instead. Nice and easy. Take a breath.
And to eliminate any feelings of fear and terror that I have that says if I don't know what's coming, I can protect myself. No, it doesn't work that way.
Take a breath and blow it out. And to eliminate the barriers so I can see that knowing who I am authentically can be a life guide for me. Nice and easy. Take a breath.
And to eliminate any feelings of fear, hurt, and shame that I have that come from ego that are not connected to my essence. Take a breath.
Take a breath. and to eliminate the veils and illusions so I can see that working directly with my essence instead of programming myself always leads to a better life. Nice and easy. Take a breath and blow it out.
And to eliminate any embarrassment I have about using energies and working with energies because of the cultural prejudice and judgment that is not based on fact.
Nice. Take a breath.
Take that embarrassment, put it away.
And to eliminate the barrier so I can see that learning to work with planetary energies can be the most valuable skill and ability I can have that I can use for the rest of my life every single day. Nice and easy. Pull it up and blow it out. I have one more.
Okay.
And to eliminate any fear that I have that says if I change the way I do things in my life, something really bad is going to happen, when that's not true at all. Nice and easy. You have the right to choose. Take a breath. Get rid of that fear.
The best support for courage can also always be planetary energies.
I love that. Way to go.
That's the opposite of that. So here we go. And
Yeah.
you want to do the activation? Yeah, do activate.
All right.
Yeah.
Follow along. We're going to activate life force so that we can all use that life force along with planetary energies to make our lives better every single day. So here we go. I direct all my resources in all dimensions to activate life force so I can use life force for all that I need, want, desire, and deserve. And that includes clarity, awareness, and objectivity, and even creativity. Right now, starting right now for me, pull it in. You're going to pull in that life force energy through the top of your head. You're going to take it all the way down to the tips of your toes. You're going to stop it right there. We're going to ask it to turn around, and we're going to ask it to remove negative energy on its way back up by removing anything that's in your way, and blow it out. Nice and easy, Jason. Go ahead.
And to activate life force so I can have hope to use planetary energies instead of being a victim to them.
Yes. Take a breath. Oh, sorry. Here. And blow out negative energies. And to activate life force so I can trust that working with energies is more effective than formulas and techniques of programming. Pull in that life force energy, and nice and easy, tips of your toes, turn it around and blow out any negative energies that have been just hanging around and left over. Jason?
And to activate life force so I can decide to focus on my personal astrology represented by my natal chart,
Nice and easy.
especially using planetary energies. Take a breath.
And blow it out. And last one, and to activate life force so I can activate by using life force and any planetary energies that I need for me right now so I can be happy and healthy and have laughter and love and fun and the intelligence and the love, the intelligence for what I need, the love for myself, so I can see and know. So I can see and know what and who is in my best interest, and be creative and have hope that I'm doing what is the best for me right now. Pull in that life force energy and any planetary energies that you need, and blow out anything that's blocking you from that request this very moment. Jason, what are we going to talk about next week?
This title is kind of weird, but it's really relevant, and I know
It is.
It's called an emotional ticker. Do you have one? And so, what is a ticker? Well, if you ever watch the news programs, they always have that line
across the bottom
that says breaking news, or this just happened, or
sure,
this is the weather, or traffic jam over here.
Correct.
That's called a ticker.
Okay.
You know, in the stock market, they have those tickers going across all the time on
Yes, they do.
different stocks, that
Yes.
sort of thing.
Yes.
But here's the thing. We have an emotional ticker.
Mhm.
So we may be like, even during the show, I got these messages going across like, oh, this isn't going well, or oh, you need to make that point, or
Need to make things clearer or
yeah,
have an
exactly.
understanding. Sure.
Most of the time, they're just lies. Those emotional tickers happen with all of us. You're going to make a big presentation in front of your boss, and oh, you're gonna screw up, or you have a big contest to do, and you just before you're out to perform, and you say, oh my gosh, I look fat, or
Yeah.
I'm too heavy, or
right.
I'm ugly today, or
Yes.
all those things. We all have those. We're going to talk about what that is exactly, those emotional tickers, and what we can do about it. It's going to be amazing.
Love that. Yes,
show.
yes, absolutely.
So if you said, oh my gosh, I want to use planetary energies, I want to use this atomic power,
I want to understand what the show was all about today.
Yes.
For me.
And we do this every week. We create these shows. We tell you how to use energies in your life using the ecosystem approach.
Right.
So if you want to make the ecosystem approach a bigger part of your life, it's very simple. First thing, go to our website, theecosystemapproach.org, sign up for the free section. Okay. You'll get our weekly newsletters, which has all the clearings. It's all written out for you. You'll picture the processors right there. And it's free. Yeah. All we ask for is your email address. We don't sell it. We don't spam you. We just send you that weekly newsletter. Right. And it's very, very helpful. When you sign up for a free section, you have access to content that's really valuable also. There's a lot there.
Exactly. Jason, what about Facebook? You
can go to our Facebook page, which is theecosystemapproach.org, and we have all of our videos there. You can, while you're there, please like us. We appreciate that. Yes. And take a look.
Okay. So we will connect next week, Monday at 1 p.m. and 1 p.m. Pacific time and 4 p.m. Eastern time. This is Transformation Talk Radio, and you're listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia.
Remember, your ecosystem is the most important one in the world.
Thank you for listening to the Ecosystem Approach Show with Jason and Patricia. I'm Patricia. Tune in every week as we discuss practical ways to apply the ecosystem approach and develop your potential to live your life on your terms. For more information, visit our website at theecosystemapproach.org.